85% of people struggle with self-esteem, but the real shock is that some of the most confident-looking people are fighting the deepest self-worth battles. Fear is often sold as a motivator for success, leadership, and even personal growth, yet it may be the very thing keeping people stuck. In this conversation, you'll discover why self-trust, not confidence, is the foundation of lasting success, how hypnosis can permanently reshape the beliefs driving your behavior, and the surprising connection between low self worth and narcissistic traits. Stay with us because near the end, you'll learn the simple shift that can begin rebuilding self trust faster than most traditional approaches. Hi, and welcome to the U World Order Showcase podcast, where we feature life, health, transformational coaches, and spiritual entrepreneurs stepping up to be the change they seek in the world. I'm your host, Jill Hart, the Coach's Alchemist, on a mission to empower coaches and entrepreneurs to amplify their voice, monetize their mission, and get visible. If you're ready to start attracting premium clients without chasing algorithms or hunting people down like a banshee on a mission, head on over to coachesalchemist.com and schedule your free client acquisition audit. It's the first step to building a business where your clients seek you out rather than you having to hunt them down. Today, we are chatting with Melissa Jacobson. Melissa is a hypnosis practitioner, coach, and creator who helps individuals and families transform limiting beliefs, heal emotional pain, and build lasting self-esteem. She is also the trainer of the Bunny Talk process, a neuroscience informed emotional regulation method that helps children, teens, adults, and professionals release stored emotions through play, movement, metaphor, and safety without needing to relive past painful experiences. Her work focuses on helping people develop greater self trust, emotional resilience, and success in both life and business. Welcome to the show, Melissa. It's great to have you with us.
Thank you for having me. Glad to be here.
Okay, so let's get you started with the big question. What's the most significant thing, in your opinion, as individuals we can do to make an impact on how the world is going?
Easy for me to answer that. Self-esteem. We are in a crisis of self-esteem. It looks like other things, but it really is this statistic that I quoted, which there's other more specific statistics around this, but if you think about it, self-esteem drives all over the world problems, including war. It's at the root of so many of our emotional and mental health issues, including, as I mentioned, narcissism is related to lack of self-esteem. So that's an easy one for me.
I can totally relate to the narcissistic issues. I lived with two people, my mother for one, and then my father-in-law who lived with us for like 18 years. They both had self-esteem issues, and not to blame them for anything. And most narcissists, if you really look at them, it is not it's not their fault. It was
Okay.
just how they were raised, and they had parents who had problems, and their parents had problems. I love that we're in a generation where people are becoming aware that this is a big problem, and these, they call them generational curses in some circles, but it's passing on behavioral traits that don't train people how to be proud of who they are. It used to be, being proud of who you were was like, it was you were being selfish or prideful, as though that's some bad thing.
Exactly right. So many people have limiting beliefs around their self-worth and their self-esteem, and they, we live what we learn, certainly. And also we obtain our beliefs very, very early on in our childhood. The way our brain develops, by the time we're seven, most of our sort of operating system beliefs have been embedded. And so many people grow up with this belief that there's this confusion between self-esteem and arrogance, or confidence. And self-esteem and confidence are two different things. Self-esteem is your relationship with your self-worth, and confidence is your confidence in your abilities. And you could have confidence and no self-worth or self-esteem. But a lot of us were raised to be, quote, humble. And if we had self-belief, people often have a fear that if I believe in myself, that means I'm conceited or I'm arrogant or, I think a lot of things were embedded, depending on the culture that you're from, this humility, that humility is a virtue, and anything that isn't that is a sin or a crime or something somehow negative. And so that is one of the many things that drives um, people's inability to have that relationship with themselves where they love, trust, accept, value themselves. And then they pass it on to their children, that low self esteem, that anxiety. And self esteem is a huge driver of anxiety and imposter syndrome and so many things.
I have to wonder if societies aren't um, developed around having people with low self-esteem, because if you can have a community of low self-esteem, it allows leaders more control over you, because really
Mhm.
people with self-esteem are more independent thinkers. They're more willing to stand outside the box and go, no, there's something wrong with that.
You're not wrong there. I mean, I think there's a lot, we talk about
Mhm.
World History 101.
Mhm.
There's definitely uh, historically when we want to control other people, and this does connect to the narcissistic conversation as well, that people who want to control others are going to do that through controlling their emotions. And when you can keep somebody in a state of low self-esteem, they're definitely much easier to control because they have self-doubt, second guessing, overthinking, and all those things that keep people stuck. So, yeah, I think there's definitely some truth to that, that um, there's not just narcissists, but there are narcissistic cultures that exist in business. There's no doubt about it. We hear it all the time as coaches. Well, I left my corporate job because it was toxic. Just heard about this yesterday on a call that I was on. I loved my job, but the management was toxic and they were always, kind of standing on my neck and breathing, like always breathing down my neck and always hyper critical. And, I couldn't do my job taking care of these people because the environment. So I had to quit. So yeah, we definitely it's a structure that exists, not just in people, but in organizations and cultures and corporations. There's no doubt about it. Bring up a really good point.
It's it's interesting to me to see how the workplace is shifting
Mhm.
around this. And there's like people are allowed to behave in ways that when I was in the workforce, there were different things they did that were annoying. Trust me, that one.
I'm sure.
But and now it's like they're they allow weird behavior to become pervasive in in their in their companies. And it's really about I, I I'm I'm equating this poorly. I recognize I'm trying not to like get pointed in this story, but I remembering a couple of episodes that my daughter has related to me, and she's 22, um, about things that happen in the workplace, specific people doing things that are just like they're odd. And people do odd things that didn't used to be like that.
So I'd like to actually like to discuss that a little bit
Mhm.
because I work with a lot of um, current entrepreneurs who used to be in or still, like I'm thinking of one client in particular who is still working in a corporate environment and also
Mhm.
starting their own business, and there's a lot of reasons for that, and it's complex, but one of the big issues that we see not just in business but in society is a lack of emotional intelligence and a lack of training around emotional intelligence. And one of the highest forms of emotional intelligence is consequential thinking.
Yes.
And so people, often the people who are running a corporation or have gotten promoted, they're not getting promoted because of their emotional intelligence or their skills or ability. They're getting promoted because they have been there the longest. And they also, we know that 80% of women, and these statistics don't, necessarily are not necessarily exact figures, but
Mhm.
approximately we'll say 80 to 85% of women, 40% of men have imposter syndrome.
Mhm.
And so people are lacking consequential thinking skills. They're operating out of fear, which is what causes them to not be able to cognate. Because when we have fear and stressful, fearful thinking, it slows down our cognitive function. So they're making weird decisions because most of the decisions that they're making are made out of fear and a lack of consequential thinking skills. They're not able to see what the consequence, they might be able to see the consequence of not doing what their bosses want them to do, that consequence, which is the fear of being fired or losing their job. But they're not able to see those smaller consequential, the smaller parts of consequential thinking where, when you berate an employee, um, it's going to make them less productive, not more productive. When you're trying to operate a business based on the fear model, you're going to get less out of your employees because when people are in fear, they can't cognate, they can't think. And so they get slowed
And you're
down.
putting the consequences on them, and the only consequence they have are I'm either going to quit now or I'm going to wait to be fired. Because those are the only two consequences that they can, with the information that they generally have, imagine. And it really comes down to imagination. I think because we live in a society that does not practice reading skills as much as we have at other times, um, whereas that I imagine we had at other times, and probably why there's like splits in society. People that read a lot tend to have better imaginations. And
Absolutely. Better
you need
vocabulary,
you need
better
an
intellectual.
imagination to be able to think about what the potential consequences are of an action that you're thinking about taking.
Well, and the other thing is that over the last several decades, there's been a real focus on logical, mathematical intelligence in the workplace because we have a lot of engineering projects and a lot of computer generated things, and that requires kind of a computer. I mean, our brain is the original computer.
Mhm.
It's the most amazing computer, and artificial intelligence can't touch it. They want they think they can, but they think they'll get there, but they really will never get there because the human brain is the only brain that creates from nothing. Um, and so, because of all this emphasis on this one kind of intelligence, there are I think there's 9 different kinds, and they're all they're all malleable. We have neuroplasticity develop all of these, and they're people are focusing so much, and I see this in my work because I work with teens and families, and I work with high achieving families who want their kids to do really well, and I see this emphasis on math and science, and um, so in part of my work is coaching kids to to speak in public with confidence, and they have to and to write creatively and create presentations. And so many of the kids that I see are so afraid, and they're so underdeveloped in their creative abilities. And I will say to them, are you afraid that AI is going to take your job? Yeah, the robots are taking over. Yeah, okay, but The one thing we have over the robots is creativity. And if you're not developing your creativity, you know, one plus one equals two, AI can do that. Black and white logical thinking, AI can do that in a millisecond, but it can't create. And you need to develop your creative skills. And so we don't focus enough in the workplace on those other intelligences like kinesthetic and creative and visual and oral and all of these different things that really can make our employees excited to come to work and can um, create innovation in our companies because we're so run by fear and low self-esteem, even at the highest levels. I was working
And
with
directing
somebody,
people in channels.
yeah, I was working with somebody yesterday. Yeah, yesterday. So, um, I work with people in a lot of different ways, but I was working with a high schooler yesterday, and she was learning a skill because she has to do a big presentation in front of her community. And I was explaining all these different intelligences to her. And I was telling her how developed these different intelligences are for her and how she can trust those intelligences and that she does not need to struggle so much or work so hard because those intelligences are available to her. And it was like a light bulb went off, and suddenly what we were working on became so much easier. And that's exactly what I'm talking about when I talk about self trust, trusting the systems that are already innate within you. But most people are focused on the part that is the weakest, which is our conscious mind, which is, I like to say it this way, that our conscious mind, which we don't even have until we're 5 to 7 years old. Before that, we're all unconscious, we're all imagination, we're all intuition. We don't have a critical faculty until we're 10. So you, I'm sure, can relate to this as a grandma and a mom. Remember when your daughters were 7 and they would dance around the living room and they would, I don't know, I imagine that they were making plays and, if they're like you, they're super fun and outgoing and they didn't care what anybody thought about them and they were full of imagination. And if you told them that Barney was at the front door with candy, they'd run to the front door because they were all unconscious, all imagination, all intuition. And they didn't know that people had opinions or were judging them. Then at about fourth, fifth grade in the US, or 10 years old, say, things changed. They got kind of shut down. They started to worry about what other girls or kids in the classroom were saying about them. They started to have, um, more concern about other people's opinions. And that's totally normal, by the way. That's normal human development. It's supposed to happen. And it's great. And we're grateful because it makes us have discernment. But when you say Barney is at the door with candy, they're like, no, he's not. That's not even real. So it's a good thing because that's when we develop our conscious mind. But we still have this huge resource operating from the background that's called the unconscious. It's a combination of the subconscious and the unconscious mind. And we forget about that resource. It's still there, it's still operating, it's still running us, but we forget about it. And all we hear is this conscious part, which I call the Chihuahua mind, because no offense to anybody that has Chihuahuas, but
They
they're
bark.
small dogs, they're really yappy. They don't know that a Great Dane is bigger than them. And so they'll boss the Great Dane around, right? I'm generalizing here, no offense to anybody with Chihuahuas. I live in Mexico, so there's a lot of Chihuahuas. But the Great Dane, so the reason I call the unconscious mind the all knowing Great Dane, and I call the conscious mind the Chihuahua brain, because the conscious brain that we start to really rely on after about age 10 That's the brain that does, logical thinking, problem solving, planning. That's all awesome. But it also does overthinking, second guessing, self doubt,
Mhm.
and self criticizing. But what we might not understand is that that part downloads, the Chihuahua part, downloads about 40 bits of information per second, absorbs it into our brain and stores it at a rate of about 40 bits per second. That seems like a lot, right? 40 bits per second. It's a lot. No? And the Great Dane, the all knowing Great Dane unconscious mind, that's the operating system for our immune system, our body. That's where we store all our imagination. That's where we store every single thing that's ever happened to us. We store all our knowledge there. We store all our beliefs. We store all our habits, all our senses, our intuition, and our imagination, and probably something that I'm forgetting. That downloads 40 million bits of information per second, and we're ignoring it, and we're not trusting it. So that's the self-trust part that I was explaining to this young lady. That's all those intelligences are stored there, and you can trust them. You don't need to work this hard. You don't need to struggle. You can be just as successful and just as accomplished. Not taking any of that away. But what if you just trusted it? You trusted that as soon as you learn something, that Great Dane, it has it. It knows it. And when you trust it, you can access it. And it's kind of what I do all day long with clients, but I mean, it's transformational when you realize you have all these resources, but it's not enough to just know that you have the resources. You have to trust the system. And that is,
Feedback.
yeah, you have to trust that
It's
you're, you have to kind of trust the unknown, because that part of you is by after age 10, it goes under the surface, and you can't feel it. But when you start to do more and more of this kind of change work that I do, and you get unstuck from all the sort of stuck emotions that people have, you start to use hypnosis and self hypnosis, you discover your intuition, your imagination, your creativity, and your self trust. It's completely changes your life. You start to have access to all of that. So imagine a leader in a corporation that has access to all that. What kind of success could they have? What kind of an environment, ecosystem could that create in your business? What kind of productivity could that bring to your business? Instead of doing the whack-a-mole of, beating people up and criticizing them, and, increasing their low self-esteem, and clogging up their cognitive function, and then you have to fire them, and then that costs a lot of money because, you got to outsource them, and then you got to bring somebody in and try. Like, it is crazy counterproductive.
it is crazy counterproductive, and it doesn't need to be.
It does not.
It's like, yeah.
So we are, we're wasting so many resources that are so available.
How do you feel about your body actually trying to communicate to you through your body as the listening mechanism to your
Mhm.
subconscious?
Yeah. So that's a really interesting question. So, um, absolutely, in the work that I do, the change work that I do with the bunny talk process, which I need to say that I did not create that process. It's created by my friend and colleague, whose name is Claudia Rickard, and I'm one of half a dozen trainers of that process and a
Mhm.
practitioner of it. So yeah, our body, there's different books that you may or may not be familiar with. The Body Keeps the Score, etc. It is absolutely true that we feel our stock emotion in our body, and that's part of the bunny talk process where we draw it. We don't need the story. We need to know where we're feeling it to release it. So that's true that our body communicates what we're feeling, because neurologically speaking, Um, Sensation and emotions run along the same neural pathways. And
Emotions are chemical reactions in your body.
yeah, we're all hormonal. Like everything is chemical reaction. And your thoughts or beliefs, which beliefs are thoughts that are on repeat and we have them. We have about 60 to 90,000 thoughts per day as a typical human. 90% of those are repeaters. So they just get embedded deeper and deeper and deeper into our neural pathway, or that neural pathway is a grooved, bigger,
Mhm.
deeper every time we have that thought. So the thought creates or leads to an emotion, and that emotion leads to a hormonal response, and that hormonal response leads to a result,
Mhm.
okay, and an action. So, yeah, everything. I'm so glad you asked that question because the truth is our bodies are responding to our thoughts. So everything begins at the thought level. And I will often ask clients or groups, depending on who I'm working with, who controls your thoughts? Do you control your thoughts or do they control you? And often people say, I control them. But sometimes people say, no, my thoughts control me. And they're really adamant about it. They just come and they control me. Yeah, it seems that way. But the reason that it seems that way is because those thoughts have been on repeat for so long, they're automated. But they're right. They're right that the thoughts do control them because our thoughts lead to our emotions, and our emotions lead to our hormones, and our hormones lead to a, a result, and that leads to an action. But we do control our thoughts. We can
We
take
can
control.
change them.
You can change them. Exactly. But you'd be surprised how many people don't know that. So we're here to tell you folks, you can.
And
And we
you can
do
change
that.
the story you tell yourself about your past. A lot of
Very
people
much
get
so.
stuck in this where it's just like, I'm the victim because XYZ happened to me when I was whatever. And
Yes.
that defines their whole life. And it really comes back to their thoughts. They think about it, and it's how they think about it. It's the chemical dump that they're experiencing in their body, which we call hormones, which produces different reactions in how they interact with others, because it also changes the energy around you. And so people will give that back to you. They become energized the way you're energized. So you find yourself around miserable people who are having similar stories that they're telling themselves. This is a super simple thing. Not easy, but it's simple. Just tell yourself a different story. Like,
That's
I have
exactly
stories about
right.
my mom and my childhood. There are facts around that as I perceived it. It can either be a really negative thing in my life, and it could have caused me to commit suicide at one point. It
Hmm.
almost did.
Yep.
Or I could have made the decision, which I did, that, I'm just going to tell myself a different story about what was going on and why it happened and how it's benefited me now. And
That's
that's the
right.
story I choose to tell myself, because that's the one that's productive. And the other one doesn't serve me at all. But so many people wander around and don't understand why their life sucks and how come it's not getting any better.
I'm glad that you said that, especially because you have the perspective of having experienced that yourself.
Mhm.
And that's I'm going to refer back to the bunny talk process because that's right. The more that we tell the story of those traumatic events, number one, we groove it deeper into our neurology. We just keep digging ourselves into a deeper hole.
Mhm.
And the other thing, this is part brought out, I don't know if you can see it, but I brought out my little multicolored ball for those who
Yeah, I love
can
that.
see the video. So we use this. This is there's a hypnotist trainer, NLP trainer, Carl Smith, who came up with the idea of using this to represent how emotions get stuck in the brain. So represents the amygdala, which is our fight, flight, freeze response, which is a very protective part of our brain that we need. And everything that we experience has to flow through here first. It's like um, the metal detector of your brain, right? Is there anything that we need to be concerned about? We're going to catch it here, okay? It's like a filter. And when you have a traumatic, or no, when you have any event where this is activated, fight, flight, freeze, any event, any experience in your life where this gets activated, it could be a good thing. Anything where adrenaline is activated by this part of your brain, it gets stuck here. It gets attached. It gets fixed. It could be great things. It could be happy things. The birth of your grandchild. That's so easy to access, isn't it, that memory? Because it's right here. It's not gone off into some, other part of the brain for storage. It's right here accessible to you, right? And that trauma that happened when you were a child, that got stuck here too. And that's super accessible to you. You've told yourself a better story, which is great. But the emotions around those experiences get stuck in your brain. And what the bunny talk process does without the story, it uses NLP, it uses eye movement, it gets that emotion unstuck so that it doesn't bother you anymore. You've done that for yourself by telling yourself a better story, but not everybody can do that because that emotion is literally physically stuck in their brain. It's called an AMPA receptor. And so that's what I love about the bunny talk process. And it's so powerful. I've used it a lot. I've been doing a lot of demos of it for people. I just did one the other day in school in one of the classrooms or communities. And every single person, there was 8 people there, every single person had got almost to like 3 or below in that stuck emotion just in a half hour. It's super, super powerful and it lasts. It's not like a temporary thing. And there's no need to keep telling yourself a story because that takes effort and energy. It's just done. It's just gone. It's just moved out into a different part of your brain and it's no longer stuck. And you're right, though. You're so right. It is about telling yourself a better story because we are the movies that we make in our minds. Those are going to give us the results. And the, this is a responsible way to move past that past trauma, or as we might call it, a significant emotional event that we don't want to keep re-experiencing. But yeah, like keeping on telling the story, and I don't mean to delegitimize or denigrate anybody that's experienced significant trauma that is still stuck in it, but there are ways that work that you can take responsibility to get with somebody like me, or it doesn't have to be me, but you can get unstuck from that. And I always say, listen, there are 2 resources in life, and one is renewable and one isn't. Well, there's lots of resources, but these are like the the 2 big, most important ones. I would opine, I would venture to say, and that is time and money. Money, you can always make more of. Money is absolutely a renewable resource. And if you have a block around that, come and join my group and join my Success Block Smackdown program. And let's get rid of that block because money is a renewable resource. There's no question about that. Time, however, is not. So if you're stuck in the past and you're still struggling and suffering from something that happened in the past and you're still suffering, you're still triggered, you're still re-experiencing that, you cannot get that time back and you only have one life. Let's put the past in the past and move it out. There's no reason. If you don't have the money, well, find it, make it, do it. Like, I'm sorry, there are ways. Sorry, there are ways. I mean, join school
Sell
for
something.
free and learn from all the people on school who are selling, or teaching you for free how to do affiliate marketing. and how to sell digital projects. Like, if you have a computer,
Set up on Substack
set up on
and then go
Substack.
sell other people's communities for the affiliate commissions on your Substack.
There
Totally
you go.
free. You can make a lot of money because a
And guess
lot of
what? You can join Jill's group on school and learn how to do it for free.
yeah.
You don't
At,
have to be stuck.
at the beginning, we talked about the hidden self-worth struggle that affects most people and the role self-trust plays in overcoming it. For some people listening right now who realize this, they've been operating from fear rather than self-trust. What's the first practical step they can take today to begin rebuilding that foundation permanently?
I love that question. I'm going to give you, so I'm going to give all your listeners, this is not an affirmation. This is a direct suggestion to your unconscious mind. Very, very different. It is in the present and it is telling your mind what you want it to feed back to you. You're creating a feedback loop. And this is a game changer and a life changer. And this phrase, Jill, I'd love for you to just maybe you could try it and see what it does for you. Okay?
Cleansing breaths happening already.
All right, great. So if you don't mind, like, is there something that you are concerned about?
Yes. We'll go with the
Okay.
challenge that's happening tomorrow.
Okay. All right. So perfect. Now, I want to calibrate that for you. So, Jill is doing the most amazing challenge, and I'm going to be in it. Should do it. Okay. Um, I have concern about that. Can you give me a number? Can you give me a number? Here, I have a scale here. Can you give me a number? I'll just give you a little visual. Can you give me a scale of that concern? Hopefully, you can see this. 0, 0 to 11. And I know those of you who are watching this, this looks kind of like I don't know, it's analog and it looks kind of messy. Why? Because this was created by an ADHD 9-year-old in my office who I needed to occupy, and I asked him to make me a scale. And I love it, and I use it. It's in the back of my clipboard.
Two.
Isn't that sweet? It's so
Yes.
wonderful, and I can never lose my ruler because it's always on the back of my clipboard. And he engineered this for me. He's 9 years old. Okay, so love it. I love it. All right, so give me a
I
number.
love it too.
0, the concern that you have right now. 0. He made it 11 because he's like, well, people go above 10. Yeah, but you're right.
I
That's why
love
we
that he
don't
thought
do
of
it.
that.
Yeah. Oh, he's brilliant.
So I'm
So
going to go with about a 7.
perfect. Right. 7. Okay. So I'm going to ask you to take two fingers, two bunny fingers like this, and I want you to tap on your upper lip, and I want you to repeat after me. And those of you who are listening who can't see this, just take two fingers and tap on your upper lip and repeat after me. I trust myself
I trust myself
to know
to know
what to do
what to do
and say
and say
in any
in any
and all
and all
circumstances.
circumstances.
I trust myself to know
I trust myself to know
what to do
what to do
and say
and say
in any and all circumstances.
in any and all circumstances.
I trust myself to know what to do and say in any and all circumstances.
I trust myself to know and say,
What to do and
do,
say.
I trust myself to know what to do and say in any and all circumstances.
That's right. Is that right, Jill?
Yes, that's right.
Is it?
Yes, it
Is it
is.
not? Is
But
it not?
not? Is it
Is it?
not?
Is it
It
not?
is.
It's right. It is, isn't it?
It
Tap here
is.
on your chin. I trust myself to know
I trust myself to know
what to do and say
what to do and say
in any and all circumstances.
in any and all circumstances.
I trust myself to know what to do and say
I trust myself to know what to do and say
in any and all circumstances.
in any and all circumstances.
I trust myself to know what to do and say
I trust myself to know what to do and say
in any and all circumstances.
in any and all circumstances.
I trust myself to know what to do and say
I trust myself to know what to do and say
in any and all circumstances.
in any and all circumstances.
I trust myself to know
I trust myself to know
what to do
what to do
and say
and say
in any
in any
and all
and all
circumstances.
circumstances.
Okay. I'm laughing. I'll tell you why I'm laughing in a moment.
Okay.
Because I'm watching you, and I'll talk about that in a moment. What's this number at now?
Mm. Let's have four. Four comes to
Hmm.
mind fast.
So we have change. I trust myself to know what to do and say in any and all circumstances. And I was giggling a little bit because I was watching you and calibrating you as your eyes were doing a transderivational search to sort of like figure this out. I was watching your physicality change, and I noticed like a little bit of a release. Is that does that sound accurate?
Yes, I started out, I didn't know where we were going. And
Yeah,
then
that's what the transderivational search. Yeah.
there was a recognition of, oh, we're tapping.
Yes.
And I'm familiar with that. And
Mm-hmm.
then I got into how you were saying the sentences because you
Mm-hmm.
changed them up. There
Mm-hmm.
was more emphasis on certain words
Mm-hmm.
as we repeated them.
Mm,
And so I was
yeah.
looking for those patterns in there. And when I look for patterns, that gives my chewing gum to my conscious mind so that my subconscious mind, because I know tapping really, I normally tap around my collarbone.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it it regulates my nervous system
Mm-hmm.
in a way
But
that
that's not the purpose of this.
mhm,
The purpose of this is to talk to your unconscious mind
mhm,
and to just deliver that message this way
mhm,
because our body is run by our unconscious mind. So it listens to us through our body easily. We're just tapping it in. It's just a delivery system in this case.
like
Okay?
Morse code.
In a way. So yeah. So um so trusting myself to know what to do and say in any and all circumstances. Now, let's do something else. I want you to just close your eyes now, and I want you to think of a time when you accomplished something really great. Let me know with a nod of your head when you have that. That's
Mhm,
right. Mm-hmm. Great. And I want you to picture that time. Make it really vivid. Make it really colorful and vivid and smell the smells and hear the sounds and see the sights of that time and the feelings and the emotions of that time when you felt really accomplished. You've got that now? That's right. And I want you to take a screenshot in your mind, a beautiful, really nice photograph of that moment, that peak of that accomplishment moment. You got it?
mhm,
Great. And I want you to imagine. Now, not everybody can imagine, so we just want to include everyone. Just if you can't imagine, some people have something, it's not a problem, they just think differently. But one of my colleagues studies this a lot, and it's when you can't picture things. Some people imagine or picture things in a different way, and you can just think about it. If you can't picture it, that's fine. Um, but you can clearly imagine it. I can see that. So now you've got it in a beautiful frame and it's gorgeous and you're feeling the same way you did when you accomplished that, right? You feel that?
mhm,
Yeah. I want you to shrink that down in your imagination to like thumbnail size. Okay?
mhm.
Shrink the picture down to thumbnail size. And now, because you can, blow it right back up so it takes up the entire frame of your brain's screen. Blow it right back up. Yeah? So you can make it shrink it down and you can blow it back up. Is that right?
Yep.
You're great at that. All right, so now I want you to take that little thumbnail. Just imagine that you can put it on the seat next to you for whenever you need it. Great. All right, and open your eyes. And I want you to think about your event tomorrow, okay? And as you think about your event tomorrow, close your eyes, and take that little thumbnail and blow it up to the entire screen of your mind now. That's right. Okay, great. And shrink it back down, thumbnail size, put it back down on the bench next to you. And open your eyes. Close your eyes and think of your event tomorrow. And swoosh, that entire picture, that thumbnail goes up to the same size as the entire screen of your mind now, with all the emotion associated with it. And shrink it back down and put it back on the chair next to you and open your eyes. Great. And close your eyes. Think of your event tomorrow. Great. And take that thumbnail and blow it back so it takes up the entire screen of your mind again. And all that emotion. And shrink it back down and put it on the seat next to you again. And open your eyes. And close your eyes and think of that event tomorrow again. And take that thumbnail and blow it back up to take up the entire screen of your mind. And as you do, say, I trust myself to know what to do and say in any and all circumstances, just like I did in this moment.
I trust myself to do
To
and
know what to
say,
do and say
to
in
know
any
what
and
to
all
do and
circumstances.
say in any and all circumstances, just like I did.
That time, and I have so much evidence.
And I have so much
I have
evidence.
so much evidence that I can trust myself to
I have
know
so much evidence to trust myself to know
what to do and say
what to do and say
in any and all circumstances.
in any and all
And just
circumstances.
take that picture now, shrink it back down, put it on the seat next to you again. And open your eyes. And one more time, we're going to close your eyes. One more time. And take that little thumbnail and blow it right back up one more time. One more time, blow it right back up. It takes up the entire screen of your mind. And you trust yourself to know what to do and say in any and all circumstances, including tomorrow, including every aspect of tomorrow. Is that right?
Yes, it is.
Is it not?
Yes, it is.
It is, isn't it? You agree. That's
I
right.
do agree.
That's right. And open your eyes. Good. Okay, and so think about that time tomorrow. You think about the event tomorrow. Give me a number.
We're down there. I got this.
Love it. Okay. There you go. There's a little hypnosis for you there. That's
Yeah.
hypnosis, folks.
And not only will you benefit, but everybody else who comes
That's
tomorrow.
right. There's that consequential thinking because now that you trust yourself, you can
Others.
do everything that you're capable of. And everyone in that training is going to get a magnificent result. And they're going to model you, and they're going to be able to trust themselves as well in their own podcast or business to know what to do and say in any and all circumstances.
Love this, Melissa. Thank you so much. So how could people reach out to you?
That is super easy because my name is my website, and you can meet with Melissa.me, www.meetwithmelissa.me. If you want to talk to me, I'm a human. There's no automation like, well, there is. Like, you'll get a little calendar link there and you can sign up to chat with me. Now, if you can't find a time, you can just message me at melissa at melissabowerjacobson.com and say, I want to meet with you, but I can't find a time on your calendar. And I will humanly and personally customize a time for you because automations are not the be all and end all of everything. They're helpful, but I'm not automated. I'm a human helping other humans. You can also, if you like, if you enjoyed this today and you want more, you can work with me. You can set up a free consult and talk about specifically what you want to work on. You can also join my group, Hypnosis for Success, on School, or you can join well, you're going to do all these things. You're going to join my Substack, right? Whatever that's called. Go,
Go from
go from
stuck
stuck to
to
success.
success. Substack.com.
Yes. It's new, so it's not top of mind yet. But there's so many resources. I'm big on change. Obviously, I am a change worker. I'm all about helping people get unstuck and make change. So you can find resources on the Substack. You can find resources in school. There's so many trainings in my free Hypnosis for Success program. We're getting ready to do a 5-day challenge, starts today. Um, and that's about finding one area that you're stuck and we're going to unstick you. We're going to smack it down because we have a group coaching program where we smash down all these success blocks. It's called Success Block Smackdown, and it's in the Success Breakthrough Room in my group, in my community. You can go to YouTube too. You can find me on YouTube, and there's lots of resources there. So there's so much available to you to move you from stuck to success. So I encourage you to do that. There's no reason to stay stuck. We have the resources. And once we have the knowledge and the skills and the attitude and the belief, then there's really nothing to stop you from being unstoppable. Is there?
There is not.
That's right.
Thank you, Melissa, for joining us today and sharing your wisdom. This has been really amazing.
I'm
I
glad.
appreciate
I
that.
enjoyed it a lot. Thank you for having me today.
You can learn more about Melissa and find her free training, Why Few Feel Nervous and What to Do About It. Why you feel nervous and what to do about it inside our free Hypnosis for Success community. And I will put that link in the show notes below. Also, join her Substack, where you can find lots of resources, and her website. And I will make sure that all of the links are below. Thank you for joining us today. If you're ready to amplify your voice, monetize your mission, and start attracting premium clients, your next step is simple. Head to thecoachesalchemist.com and schedule your free client acquisition audit. Join us for our next episode as we share what others are doing to raise the global frequency. And remember, change begins with you. You have all the power to change the world. Start today and get visible.